Right, we have here a 1966 Excalibur Roadster. Okay, okay. You said they're from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. They were.
Number 58 of the production.
Number 58. Okay. And they produced the frame, or they used a frame from someone else.
The frame is Studebaker.
Studebaker frame. Okay, that sounds.
The engine is a 350 Corvette.
All right, so it's a 350 Corvette 5.7 from the same era, from 1966.
Yes.
Oh, all right. Side pipes you got here, and they gave you a safety plate so you wouldn't burn yourself to step into the car. All right.
That was an extra.
Yeah.
That was like, when the guy sold me the car, I said, "Hey, that's an extra. That's very rare."
Oh yeah. Well, otherwise I don't see how you could get in or out.
Yep.
You know, because if
no
you,
doors.
yeah, if you had to climb over, you would have burned your leg every time you got in the
Makes
car.
it more rare.
All right. All right. And Studebaker. So the whole chassis is Studebaker then. It's just
everything's Studebaker. The rear end, the chassis, the instruments.
Okay. Yeah. So.
The windshield wiper is MGTD.
Okay.
Believe it or not.
All right.
As are the parking lights are
Parking
MGTD.
lights.
And so are these.
The tail lights. Okay.
So they gathered a whole bunch of different parts and built the cars.
Yeah.
And then I think in 81 or 82, they came out with their own chassis, and they weren't using Studebaker anymore.
Well,
they had a Corvette derivative chassis.
Right.
But that's when the car got elongated. It started to look like the 300 Mercedes-Benz that Ava Brown had and
Right.
and Goring had. Very expensive car. Another Mercedes.
Well, how does it handle? Does it handle good? I mean,
Oh yeah. When I was a kid back in the '60s, I remember them racing these at Bridgehampton.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So these are actually raceable, and a lot of them were raced. Not that I race it.
Yeah. Right.
But you feel everything. There's no comfort in this car.
Wow.
It's a strictly wind in the face sports car.
Right.
And that's what I wanted.
You have to wear the goggles and.
Yeah, I got to get some goggles.
Yeah.
Right,
You
got to
get some driving goggles.
You got to get the scarf.
The scarf, right? The ascot, yeah. And then the cap too that goes with it. The Spitfire leather cap.
Yeah.
But these
I'm glad you like it.
Oh, it's very. When you see one of these, because you see them in a photograph and in books, but to see one in person, so you can get an idea of what it. Because I can see the Mercedes-Benz theme they were going for with the grille and then the hood ornament.
Yeah, and the exhaust too.
Oh, right. But I just wonder where. I mean, I suppose. But this is built during '66, so we had to have more modern engines, and then you had more modern braking systems.
Oh yeah.
But it seems like to have so much of the car exposed, especially it's almost like because your control arms are forward of the engine, that I couldn't even fathom how it would handle, because.
It's got a 50-50 weight distribution,
Right,
so it handles very well.
Yeah, that's
The engine is all the way back there.
Right. And so when you put the wheels, it's a very long wheelbase.
Yep.
So, but you sit so low, right on top of the frame, so it'd be different, like compared to riding in a Buick, where you'd have a long wheelbase, but you couldn't feel anything.
Right.
So, but this is incredible. I like seeing these old ones. The more of these old cars you see, because I try to get an idea of what the engineers were thinking at the time, because this is like a clone of a car that was built previously.
Correct.
So
this was actually the first retro car.
Yeah.
If you think of retro, this is it. This is the one that started the whole thing.
Yeah. And then it's very attractive. 1966 Excalibur by SS Motors out of Milwaukee. This is crazy. You know who the designer for this car was?
Yes, Brooks Stevens. Yeah. Here's the interesting history. Studebaker was going out of business in the 60s.
Right.
So they, as a last gasp, they said, hey, let's get a Corvette. Maybe we could get more traffic in.
Right.
So they hired Brooks Stevens. He designed this car for them.
Mm-hmm.
They showed it at the Waldorf in 64 and 65.
Okay.
They got a ton of orders. And Studebaker chickened out, said the car's too wild. They built the Avante instead.
Right, right.
So Brooks Stevens opened a factory in Milwaukee and started producing these. And this is number 58 of the first one.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, because he had the orders already.
Right.
So he had the finances.
You know, Studebaker had some nice stuff from the late '60s.
Oh,
Yeah, I
there's
saw
a
that. I saw that
53.
Champion, right?
Oh, nice.
But that Champion, I didn't know that they shared the same body with the Firehawk.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, because you look at the later Firehawks, they all have the same body.
Oh.
Because I went to the auction, and there was a '62 and a '64 Firehawk, and then when I went to the show in Terrytown in Westchester County, there was a guy who had a '59. Well, at that time, it was just called a Hawk. And then also there was a '62. It's just the same body.
Wow.
It's the same body. You know, the taillights are different, but and the grill also. But very attractive cars, especially that Lark Daytona.
Well, for the 50s,
Right.
you think 53, that car's like beautiful
Right,
compared to
right.
the tubs they
Yeah,
had.
the tubs, the
50s.
pontoon style that they had. Yeah, but and they're very attractive. But I don't know. As I heard, for Studebaker, the books were cooked. So.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, because they said they merged with Packard and they lied about the books.
Oh, yeah.
So now Packard had no more money for a new product because they had to pay all Studebaker's debts. So by the time '58 came around, they were just copying Studebaker's and they just called it wraps. And so Studebaker stopped production in South Bend in '62, but they were still building in Canada because the union was different.
Right.
But by '66, they called it quits. So, but they really made some very attractive cars, though.
Oh, yeah, I think so. Well, Brooks Stevens designed a lot of them in the 60s.
Right.
And Raymond Lowery, who designed that one, was pissed because Brooks Stevens took his design and changed it in the 60s. And there was some kind of like animosity between the two designers.
Yeah, I buy that. Because those guys, they it seems like just because they wear those fancy suits, but those guys were cutthroats. Yeah. I mean, the whole story of Chrysler, those guys were, they were at each other's throats. I can see that.
Yeah.
But then again, these are high stakes.
Yeah.
Because if you could deliver a winner, you were the man about town.
Well, the company was on the chopping block.
Yeah.
I feel bad they didn't. If they had produced this, who knows? Maybe they would have done well.
It's not even this. It's just the other stuff. Because this would have been an extravagant car. You would have had to been a special buyer. But even the regular cars, like I said, that Daytona and that Lark, that was meant for average person. That's an attractive car.
Yeah.
If they could have made it to the late '60s, the early '70s, I really would want to see what they would have came up with.
Well, all the movie stars had this car.
Yeah, right.
Elvis Presley, right on down to Frank Sinatra, all of them. I guess because hey, I'm a movie star.
Yeah. Plus they had all the connections anyway.
Yeah.
They can get somebody, because a lot of them they had George Barris build them a car. I don't know if you've seen a lot of Barris's creations.
Yes.
They were hideous. He built a car for Sammy Davis Jr. and he built the same car for Dean Martin. You gotta go online and look at it.
I've seen Dean Martin's car.
Yeah, you seen that one?
I think there was a name for it.
It was like
Black Hawk or something.
Well, no, that wasn't a Black Hawk because the Black Hawk was a Stutz.
Stutz.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
But that wasn't it. The one built for Dean Martin was a modified. I think it was
Grand Prix, wasn't it?
No. Because Barris built that. The one that Barris built for Sammy Davis Jr. was the Ford Thunderbird, and the one he built for Dean Martin, or not Dean Martin. What's the other guy? Danny. Remember that girl? Her father.
Oh yeah, Danny Thomas.
Yeah, Danny Thomas. He built a car for Danny Thomas too. It was a Lincoln Continental Mark IV.
Oh.
But he put the same treatment on him, and in Barris he was like a fiberglass.
Genius.
Well, you can call him that. I'm just calling him. He's a madman.
Yeah, right.
So he just threw fiberglass all over the car. And so the thing is, those cars were in storage, and then they didn't really age well. If you see the one he built, a Corvette for Farrah Fawcett, and that car was hideous. He built 2 Mustangs for Sonny and Cher, and I'm like, the colors were good, but the aesthetic. I'm like, I don't know, Barris.
Well, it was overdone, but I mean, what he did with it was amazing.
Yeah. Now, if you look at the Sammy Davis Jr. car, somebody restored that car because it went to auction. And so they restored the car as best they could, and it looks somewhat tasteful if you can remember how gauche styling was in the 1970s.
Yeah.
But Barris built a lot of stuff, so You
Well, he
know,
built the Batmobile too.
yeah. It wasn't really built. The car had already been assembled because
Yeah.
Ford built that.
Yeah, that was a Lincoln.
It was Lincoln.
Right.
And then all he did was put the turbo on the back and just painted it black with the red pinstripe.
Yeah, and
The
he
car's
did.
pretty much done.
Yeah,
You know.
and he did the headlights were different, and he did something
Well, no,
with
the
the
headlights
back.
the headlights were the same though. On the Lincoln Futura, on the
Really?
Batmobile, it was the same because they had a cover on it. It's like that in inner turn signal. So that was that. But he did do